At some point in our lives, we've all witnessed somebody getting special treatment. Maybe it's a parent who has a favorite kid. Wasn't me. Or maybe you've been to a football game where the ref refuses to call a foul against the other team.
The 40. Oh, he's brought down hard by his face mask.
What? Oh, come on, man. That was a face mask. You're not going to call that?
I saw a clean tackle, sir.
What you looking at?
And what about the teacher's pet? The kid who brought a shiny little red apple from home and left it under her desk.
Okay, listen, I didn't want to say this in front of the other kids because I didn't want to make them jealous, but I made a special position just for you. And it's the most important job of all. Band manager.
Special treatment runs rampant in Washington, but it only goes one way. Democrats are the darlings of D.C. They can do no wrong. Republicans, on the other hand, well, there's an entire system in place designed to destroy them. And it happens every day, right in front of our eyes. Just last night, Biden's Department of Justice leaked to the Washington Post, of course, that Donald Trump may be under criminal investigation. What for? Well, I mean, does it really matter? They'll figure it out later. The January 6th hearings still haven't presented hard evidence that Donald Trump committed a crime. If they had hard evidence, we would have seen it. The witness, they said, was the most explosive was a woman named Cassidy Hutchinson. Remember, she claimed Donald Trump lunged at a Secret Service agent and tried to grab the steering wheel on the Beast? Well, she was contradicted by the Secret Service. And tonight, we're learning even more about this so-called star witness. According to new messages obtained by the Federalist, before Hutchinson testified, she called the committee phony and blasted Republicans Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger as a crop of losers. But then when Hutchinson found out she might have to pay for a lawyer, she ran right into the arms of a Democratic law firm who set her up nicely. And now she doesn't ever have to pay for another drink in Washington again. Cassidy's like the new Alexander Vindman, except much better looking. You'll see her on CNN for at least a year, and she'll probably get a book deal. Meanwhile, if you're involved with President Trump, they raid your home, usually while you're in your underwear, put you in shackles and bankrupt your family. They don't need evidence. Their goal is to scare you into submission. Watch Merrick Garland last night on NBC flirt with arresting Donald Trump right before the next election.
You said in no uncertain terms the other day that no one is above the law. That said, the indictment of a former president, of perhaps candidate for president, would arguably tear the country apart. Is that your concern as you make your decision down the road here?
Look, we pursue justice without fear or favor.
So if Donald Trump were to become a candidate for president again, that would not change your schedule or how you move forward or don't move forward?
Say again that we will hold accountable anyone who is criminally responsible for attempting to interfere with the legitimate, lawful transfer of power from one administration to the next.
If they had half the evidence on Trump that they have on Hunter, Trump would probably already be in a supermax right now. It was interesting. The topic of Hunter Biden actually never came up in the Lester Holt interview. You'd think a journalist might have questions like, hey, AG, what's going on with Hunter? The president denied his son made money in China, but he's made millions there. And the president's on the record lying about it. Maybe do you think you should appoint a special counsel? No, never came up. The president of the United States is lying about his family taking in millions of dollars from the communist Chinese, being bribed with diamonds, and then Biden's going soft on the Chinese, and the attorney general's not wondering if the president's compromised? There's a paper trail. There's banking records. There's flags at Treasury, pictures. I mean, there's even voice recordings. The only evidence that Trump was compromised by the Russians was made up by the FBI, but they tried to charge him anyway. This is now the third presidential election in a row that the Department of Justice has interfered with on behalf of Democrats. In 2016, they framed Trump. And then when he was elected, they had an insurance policy, and Mueller's prosecutors spent 2 years rummaging through millions of documents in order to tee up impeachment, and Mueller failed. And then when Trump fingered Biden family corruption in Ukraine, they impeached him for that. Then whistleblowers came forward in October of 2020 saying The FBI stopped investigating Hunter Biden's laptop before the election. Orders came straight from the top, no questions asked. Even though agents knew the laptop was real, the Delaware repair shop where Hunter abandoned it handed it to the FBI in 2019, and they just sat on it. And then when the Post started to leak the story out, they put together an agency-wide scheme to bury it. Of course, the CIA got involved. Why wouldn't they? They labeled the whole thing Russian disinformation. Oh, and big tech and the mainstream media also did.
The U.S. authorities are seeing if those emails we just talked about are connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
It is so obviously a Russian operation.
Hunter Biden, this laptop that intelligence officials have warned is likely Russian disinformation.
When he's also then relying on Russian disinformation laundered through the New York Post, you get a sense of somebody who is just who's lost his instinct, who's lost the narrative.
Do you think stuff like that could just have been planted in there and be completely fake?
I do.
Now 2024 is around the corner, and they're slow walking the Hunter probe, narrowing it down to just a little small tax beef. And are floating charging Trump with a felony so he can't run against Joe? Would they really put the former president of the United States in prison? They'd lock up the Republican nominee for president? Or do they just hold this dark cloud of imminent indictment over the guy to dirty him up in the Republican primary? I mean, do you really want to vote for a guy who could be going to jail? That's their strategy. How sinister and how deep does this go? They're going to try to convict Trump over January 6th without even telling us if they were involved in January 6th?
How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
And we're seeing the DOJ and FBI openly conspire to protect Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, just locking up Republicans who ask questions. What's this really about? Donald Trump wanted to close the border, confront China, and stop policing the world. And that was a threat to the establishment and their profits. Joe Biden, on the other hand, he wants to police Ukraine's borders instead of ours and wants to let China raid our piggy bank. So they'll do anything they can to keep the guy in charge and imprison the renegade.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.